Ripple and Coinbase fight back against the SEC, leveraging the recent Binance decision from the judge that secondary market sales are not securities. And Consensys scores a massive win in the lawsuit against Gary Gensler and the SEC with regards to MetaMask. And billionaire crypto investor Mike Novogratz is saying no matter who wins the election, we're going to get positive crypto legislation. I know that. And Robinhood is expanding their crypto services throughout the nation and looking at launching new services around crypto. We're going to break this down and much more. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. I'm your host, Tony Edward. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button as well as the thumbs up button and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify or Apple, please leave a 5-star rating and review. Here's a quick word from our sponsor. Meme coins are all the craze of this crypto bull market cycle. We've seen the rise of many meme coins, a lot of liquidity being injected into many of these meme coins. Some of the most prominent rising meme coins have been Pepe. You of course have the old school Shiba Inu and Dogecoin and so forth. Well, I want to introduce you to Raccoon Coin, which is on the rise. They have collected over $1 million in liquidity from funds and exchanges, and they are planning to list on centralized exchanges by Q4 of 2024, so later this year. And Raccoon Coin, it's kind of unknown, but it's getting the attraction of many major players at this early stage. And there's possibly a connection here to Pepe Coin. And anyone can participate in their funding round for governance. And, you know, we've seen many meme coins do incredibly well this market. I mean, I'm kind of blown away by what has happened, but it is what it is. That's what's happening this bull market cycle. So could this Raccoon Coin do 1000x? It's possible. So if you'd like to learn more, go to raccooncoin.org. Link will be in the description. As always, do your own research. All right, folks, we got big news that both Ripple and Coinbase are leveraging the recent decision in the Binance case where the judge cited that secondary market sales are not securities. She's in full agreement with Judge Torres's ruling in the Ripple case. Now, Ripple has filed a notice of supplemental authority regarding the recent Binance decision. Essentially, Ripple is saying the opinion is relevant to its opposition to the SEC's motion for remedies in its ongoing lawsuit. Now, we know the judgment between the SEC and Ripple may come soon, and I believe Ripple will have to pay a fine, but the SEC wants near $2 billion. Ripple is saying, hell no. So they're having a bit of tug and war right now, and we'll see where it goes. I don't think Ripple is going to pay anywhere near $1 billion. I think maybe 50 million. It could be lower, it could be higher, but I think it's going to be in that range. What's fascinating is that today we got news that a XRP ETF has been launched by a company called Virtune, and it's listed on Nasdaq Stockholm. So it's funny that across the globe, there's clarity. It's just here in the United States, we're dealing with this nonsense. However, the recent approval of the Ethereum spot ETF is going to open the door for the rest of the altcoins. But as I've stated before, the lawsuit between Ripple and the SEC will need to be resolved before an XRP ETF gets approved. But pretty interesting that this is happening globally. We're seeing Solana ETFs go live in Canada. We just had the recent applications for Solana be filed here in the United States. So things are ramping up, and the SEC is on the losing side of history here, or I should say Gary Gensler, because he's the one that's causing all this nonsense. Now, Coinbase also leveraged this decision in the Binance case. They sent a letter to Judge Falia citing Judge Jackson's opinion about secondary market sales of digital assets from the Binance case. Coinbase says Jackson's ruling reinforces its grounds for requesting an interlocutory appeal in its own case. Coinbase Chief Legal Officer Paul Grewal weighed in on this, saying, "We've now shared word of Judge Jackson's decision in the Binance case with the Third Circuit. Rulemaking is the tailor-made and the only rational solution to the scourge of district-dependent and even judge-dependent regulation by enforcement. We appreciate the court's consideration." So clearly, he's alluding to it here. This is regulation by enforcement, and we need Congress to act. Now, Consensys scores a big win against the SEC here, folks. Remember, the SEC dropped their Ethereum investigation recently via Consensys and the Ethereum Foundation, but they went ahead and sued Consensys regarding MetaMask because they feel MetaMask is doing a securities offering. The wallet is a broker dealer because of staking, which is nonsense. And Eleanor Terada says, in the Consensys lawsuit against the SEC, a Texas judge has granted Consensys lawyers' request to expedite making a decision on whether the SEC has authority to regulate MetaMask as a broker-dealer. Looks like a possible ruling by the end of year/early 2025. And Bill Hughes, lawyer at Consensys, I just recently had him on the podcast. Be sure to check out that interview. We talk a lot about this. One of the things we discussed was in the Coinbase case, the judge had ruled that the Coinbase wallet was not eligible for that broker-dealer rule. So they could use that to push back against the SEC, which I think they are doing. Bill says, important news about Consensys versus Gensler. Judge O'Connor granted our request that he consider the merits of our case on an expedited basis, whether the SEC has congressional authority to regulate MetaMask as a securities broker and issuer. Those questions would be considered alongside any arguments the SEC would make that we don't get to bring a case against them. So, folks, we're on the winning side of history. We've seen a lot of victories in the courts. Don't get me wrong, there will be some things that the SEC wins on, but the majority, the meat and potatoes of this, they're going to lose. It's clear the judges are not putting up with the lies and hypocrisy and nonsense. The SEC is trying to abuse the Howey test, and we know it's a political agenda handed down to Gensler by Elizabeth Warren to protect the TradFi incumbents who are getting disrupted. And we need Congress to push legislation which made it through the House, through the Senate, and obviously it needs to go to a president, but that won't happen immediately because we're in the election cycle. It's going to happen in 2025. Now, speaking of that, Mike Novogratz, a billionaire Wall Streeter who now invests in crypto, he was on CNBC this morning. He says, no matter who wins the election, we're going to get positive crypto legislation. I know that. Now, Mike is a very well-connected guy, so let me play the clip here for you.
Mike. I'm not a single-issue voter, and I do fundamentally believe crypto should be bipartisan and needs to be bipartisan. We can't have one party that likes us and the other party that doesn't. And I would tell you that most Democrats, outside of Elizabeth Warren and a small group of people, are pretty pro-innovation and pro-crypto. And so it's been unbelievably frustrating. That said, that's all shifting. And you can listen, no matter who wins the next election, we're going to get positive crypto legislation. I know that.
So there you have it. Once again, I believe this because I have seen it with my own eyes that the Democrats sided with their colleagues across the aisle, the Republicans, to repeal SOB 121 in the Senate and the House, and also to pass the FIT 21 bill out of the House. Remember, it was over 70 Democrats that joined with their Republican colleagues. So they see the writing on the wall. They're turning their backs on Elizabeth Warren and Gary Gensler. And despite what Biden has been doing, and we know it's not Biden, right? It's not Biden's decision. He's just taking orders from Elizabeth Warren and the rest of the cronies like Sherrod Brown and so forth. So we got to keep fighting. But we're winning here, and the pressure is mounting on Gensler. And look, the Democrats are in trouble right now because of Biden's situation, and Trump has come out to be pro-crypto. That's not my feelings or emotions. That's not me trying to endorse Trump or Biden. I'm just stating the facts, the reality of what is happening here. And it was an incredibly dumb strategic move by Elizabeth Warren to go anti-crypto army against an entire industry and technology, and Donald Trump capitalized on that. So I recognize the politics of this, but I think the rest of the Democrats are not on board with Elizabeth Warren and Gary Gensler anymore, and I think they're going to try to make this get pushed through because the crypto industry has become a political force. They've raised over $160 million via Fairshake, and they're donating to pro-crypto candidates. They're running ads, and we're seeing anti-crypto candidates are losing. So things are moving in the right direction for the industry, and I think Mike is spot on here. Now, moving ahead, Robinhood, they are expanding their crypto trading to across the nation. So it includes Hawaii, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. And Johan Kerbrat, who is the head of or general manager of crypto at Robinhood, tweeted out, Robinhood crypto is now available across the nation. There's also reports that they are considering listing crypto futures in the U.S., Europe, Bloomberg is reporting. So right now they offer obviously spot trading, right? You guys can go buy and sell crypto, but the futures market, that will be pretty huge for Robinhood. And I think it's a big strategic move. They already have an incredibly large customer database. So any product they launch will hit the ground running. They're going to get a lot of adoption. So it's a smart move on their part. I'm going to try to get Johan on the podcast to talk about these things. But big news from a big player. Final news item here, Japanese public company Metaplanet buys another 200 million yen worth of Bitcoin. If you recall, they've been raising some debt, public notes and so forth, kind of what MicroStrategy's been doing, and they're buying Bitcoin and putting it on their balance sheet. Folks, this is happening globally. It's not just MicroStrategy here in the US. A lot of companies are doing this, and it's a sign of what's to come. A lot of demand for Bitcoin now as a reserve asset. These companies are protecting their cash reserves, their buying power, and it absolutely makes sense. And obviously, you got Wall Street with these ETFs, and there's been incredible inflows. And then I think we're going to see another country, maybe Argentina and some other nation state or nation states, start to follow El Salvador's move. So guys, this is why I'm bullish on Bitcoin. I don't think it's the fastest crypto. I don't think it's the cheapest crypto to use. But as digital gold, a store of value, an asset that has a very finite supply, has the branding, has the trust, has the regulation, I think it's important to have some in your portfolio. My entire portfolio is not consisted of Bitcoin. Obviously, I've often stated that altcoins, many of them outperform Bitcoin, but Bitcoin is on the risk curve, the less riskiest asset in the crypto industry. So you want to have some, be diversified, and that's how I approach it. And when altcoins are not doing well, and we know Bitcoin is the main driver of liquidity for this entire market, if Bitcoin holds up my portfolio, and I've made money doing that, guys. So just sharing what I'm doing, not financial advice. Obviously, do your own research. But guys, let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Also, don't forget to grab a copy of my book, Rethinking Crypto: The Crash of FTX and the Rise of Safer, Stronger Digital Assets, where I talk about Bitcoin ETF adoption by Wall Street, tokenization, crypto regulations, why the SEC attacked Ripple, and why they didn't approve the Bitcoin ETF with Grayscale, and all these things. So grab a copy to support the podcast. Grab a couple copies for your friends and family who are still skeptics about crypto or want to learn about it. And if you bought a copy already, please be sure to leave a rating and review on Amazon. It would really help me out. Thank you guys for watching and listening. I appreciate you all, and I'll talk to you all later.